Hey, welcome to Entrepreneur Ask an Expert. This is Mike Koenigs. I'm here today with Randy Stanbury. He is the founder and president of 4Level Coach. They're an organization that helps custom home builders work on their businesses instead of in their businesses so they can scale, they can grow, and even sell someday. Thanks for being here, Randy.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right, so why don't you talk a little bit about the industry, the custom home building industry, and the problems that these people are having, and what you're doing to help solve these problems and make it go away.
Love to. First of all, the custom home building industry here in Canada alone is, several $billion dollars. Represents a mass amount of jobs. It's one of the biggest employers in the country, actually, when we get into the home building market. And what we have found is that every custom home builder is going through a lot of the same challenges, and one of them being that they're just inundated with issues and constant challenges on the job site that they're being pulled into, and they are overwhelmed, frustrated, dealing with 60-hour work weeks plus, and just not having the lifestyle that they had anticipated having when they started their business. And that excitement from the beginning is such that you're going to have a lifestyle along with a multi-million-dollar business, but that just is not the case.
Right, and I know one of the things that you and I have talked about is the fact that the home builders are working with what they call trades. These are all the contractors. And at any given time, like, how many contractors are typically working on a project or a job site with them that cause them innumerable challenges?
Well, it's in the neighborhood at any given time. These builders have, depending on the size of the builder, of course, but they have 3, 4, 5, maybe a dozen different builds going on at any one time. They have 20 to 30 contractors on any one of those projects. Some of those contractors, of course, spread out to multiple different jobs. But you can imagine the complexity and the challenge. And if you're a homeowner out there, then, we all know the challenges that we've had dealing with one contractor. Multiply that out and try to keep up with timing and scheduling and keeping the end client happy throughout that build is extremely challenging. And, one thing we hear over and over is, it's getting harder and harder to keep up with client expectations. And those client expectations are getting, larger and more challenging as they, watch these TV shows and they see how builds are supposed to be done, and their expectations have just gone through the roof over the last several years. So managing that has been another massive challenge for that builder.
All right, so I think one of the things that you've got multiple success stories, one of them is with Dave Bernstein. So why don't you talk a little bit about what 4Level Coach did with Dave and what he was struggling with before, what you did with him, and what life is like right now.
So, Dave is one of the coolest stories. I mean, first of all, this guy is a highly effective implementer. He's an action taker, and he's basically taken everything that we've talked about and in our systems, and he's put that into his business, and it has totally changed his life. So when we first started working with Dave, and this literally goes back 6 months ago, so we're not talking a long period of time here. When he came to me, he wanted to double his business in the next 2 to 3 years. So doubling the business in the next 2 to 3 years seemed like a very reasonable thing to be able to accomplish. In fact, I wanted for him a 10x growth in either the same period of time or maybe in a 5-year period of time. He thought that was completely insane and impossible, but what we were able to do through putting in some simple systems, through new mindset and implementing new people into his organization and leveraging those people's strengths, peeling him away from a lot of the stuff he shouldn't have had his hands in anyway, has completely transformed the business. In fact, in 90 days, and literally 90 days to the day, I got a phone call that he just crossed the threshold of doubling his revenue. And that was like, okay, that's a serious win for him, and certainly a serious win for 4Level Coach and its work that we do with him. And on top of that, what he was most concerned about was him doubling the business. He just went through a growth spurt the year prior, and that year prior was absolutely hell on him. And what he didn't want or could not even fathom is doubling the business in a 2 to 3 year period, never mind a 90-day, and having any life beyond that. So he was concerned about the frustration and overwhelm that was going to come as a result of that sort of growth. The truth is, in that 90-day period and into our 6-month period now, he has more freedom than he's ever had in his business. He has more time now to actually focus on what's really important in the business for growth. And how I know this, and not just from him telling me, but how I know it is from our meetings. The first meeting I had with him, his phone went off, I don't know how many times in an hour and a half. After 6 months and we've had our last meeting, his phone's not going off at all in an hour and a half, because things are being dispersed, delegated, looked after the way they should be in his organization and not all on his shoulders. So it's been pretty cool.
That's awesome. And how about, now I know you've got your upcoming book, The Small Business Freedom Formula. Why don't you show us that now? You've actually documented the process in there in 7 steps. So why don't you talk a little bit about how what you did with Dave relates to what's in the book, because I know one of the things that you're doing is making your book available to people who read this article and watch this video. So why don't you share some of the principles behind there and how you implemented those in Dave's business and you're working with other clients and doing the same?
Yeah, so the book is called The Small Business Freedom Formula. And the reason we use that title is because at the end of the day, I think we all want more freedom in our businesses. Sure, we want more money and we want more growth, but we don't want that along with less freedom and more overwhelm, more frustration. We really want to be able to pull back and have a little freedom along the way. My belief is freedom only comes from growth. We can't stay the same and get freedom. So we have to be able to grow and develop the business. And the 7 steps that you're referring to is the first step is foundation. So we have to create a foundation for you as the entrepreneur in your business. If you don't have a strong enough foundation, your limiting beliefs are going to get in the way. If your desire is not deep enough, your why is not strong enough, you're not going to be able to bust through the challenges that you're inevitably going to be faced with. I mean, 96% of businesses don't last past 10 years. There's a good reason for that. And at the end of the day, I think a lot of it comes down to desire. So we start with a really solid foundation. And step 2 is about execution. We are in our business executing everything all day long, every day of the week. Everyone in the business is executing something. Whether it's a new contract, a new deal, a marketing plan, it does not matter what it is, we are executing. So we have to learn how to execute at the highest level, and we have a formula for that in our step 2. Step 3 gets into clients. So who are the clients that we want? We have to get laser focused on the right clients for us. How are we going to do our marketing? How are we going to do our sales process? How are we going to bring in those clients? How are we going to onboard them, and how are we going to improve the client experience throughout them working with us? So client is number 3. Number 4, we get into teams. If we don't have teams, we cannot look after our clients properly. And if we don't have the best teams, and through teams, we have to get into team development and building leaderships and building leaders within the company. And step 5 gets into systems. If we don't have the right systems, this is probably, I feel like, well, they're all critical, but systems is really where the freedom starts coming from. If you don't have the systems in place to really generate the efficiencies and effectiveness throughout the organization, you're just, you're spinning your wheels, which we refer to, and, I've talked to you many times about being on the hamster wheel. So we can be on the hamster wheel, running real hard, but we're not getting anywhere. And that's what too many businesses are doing without proper systems in place. So we get deep into systems in that step. And in step 6, we know that we're starting to generate some money. And now how are we going to look after that money? What about cash flow? What are we investing in? How are we utilizing that money to grow the business? And last, in our step 7, is all about exit. So how do we then start pulling ourselves away, whether it's 1 day at a time or hours at a time or a week at a time or 2 at a time? And it's not just pulling ourselves away so we can, throw our hands up and go lie on a beach. It's And if you want to do that, then that's your prerogative, and that's obviously what people want to do too. But at the end of the day, being able to exit the day-to-day operation of the business is critical for its own growth. The business needs a leader, an entrepreneur, a visionary. And so ideally, you want to be able to pull yourselves away and create new leaders that can actually replace you in everything that you've been doing up to date. And when you think that you're the only one that can do the things that you're doing, you want to correct yourself, because you're completely wrong. Many people out there can do a far better job than you and I can ever do in our own businesses, if that's their sole focus and purpose. So we have to learn to let go and take that exit for the growth and really the exponential growth of the business.
Now, one of the things that I think is important, you talked about exiting. Now, you've built and sold a business prior, and that's one of your outcomes when you're working with a builder, is actually building a saleable asset. So why don't you talk a little bit about the business that you built and sold and why you're qualified to guide someone through the process of their business?
Yeah, for sure. So in 1995, I started a business in my bedroom, actually. Myself and I brought my father in, who was in sales for me, and together we really started a business in the transportation logistics industry. So we were moving freight across North America, doing that from the beginning, I made lots and lots and lots of mistakes and realized very quickly that the only way out of the challenges that I was faced with, which was running on that hamster wheel, I was going a million miles an hour but not getting anywhere. And really what I had to do was start leveraging people, was creating systems, was developing a far better sales process, bringing in more salespeople, bringing in marketing, leveraging people, and creating leaders. And at the end of the day, when the business really started to take off, it was when I started to let go of more and more of what I was holding on to and what I thought I was great at. And the truth is, I was nowhere near as great as the people that came after me in those roles. And what I was really good at was developing systems and processes within the business, being a visionary leader, and also developing other leaders to replace me and go into roles that were far bigger and better for them than they ever would have if they didn't become what they became. So that was, pretty exciting. And what I was able to do as a result of that, and really following my 7 steps, which I didn't realize I created these steps. I was just doing them throughout the years. It was when I stepped back and realized that what I had actually been doing was exactly this. So I just created what I'd been practicing for many years. And what I had realized is I was able to exit that business, and the last 10 years of the existence of the business before I sold it in 2017, literally the last 10 years, I had not spent one full day in the business. The business was operating without me. It was successful without me. It was growing without me. And really all that I need to do was look at the key metrics and what I needed to stay focused on, stay in touch with the leaders that we had in place, and pay them accordingly to look after the business properly. And I mean, that was a huge success, one that very few entrepreneurs, I think, experience. And when I realized that, I said, wow, we really did something special here. And now we need to take what we did and bring it to a market that I felt was a market that really, really needed this, an industry that really, really needed this. And that's kind of how we found our way into the contracting space, the home builder space, because there was just a massive need for this in this industry as far as I was concerned.
Well, I think it goes to show, too, that you built a system that works in practically any industry or any business. And really, 4-Level Coach can work with any type of business, not just custom home builders. But that leads me to the next question, too, which is, now you've been developing an app that helps the home building process. You've also been approached with a TV show opportunity, too. So why don't you talk a little bit about those 2 opportunities?
Yeah, cool. Both those are, it's exciting to be part of all of this. And the app kind of came out of working with home builders and seeing the issues on their job sites, and saying that, it became very clear very quickly that the home builder is really as good as the contractors and their sub trades on site. They kind of are at the mercy of how well the contractors' businesses are being run. So it's getting kind of in behind the scenes of the contractors that are on site and saying, if that business isn't well run itself, you're going to run into a lot of problems, a lot of scheduling issues, overlaps, not having product on site on time because they don't have the processes and systems in place. So no matter how good the home builder got, it is apparent that every contractor within that system has to be as good or things are going to fall off the table. So we created an app that ultimately allows the home builder to start rating the various contractors on a customized list of things that they want to look into. For example, whether it's safety or quality or scheduling or timeliness or no matter what the thing is that the home builder wants to analyze, they can set that up in the app and then give a rating to any of the contractors that are on site. In turn, all of the contractors have the ability to give a rating to the home builder. And the home builder also can affect the contractor's world. So these two intersect, and at the end of the day, both of them need to help each other with the outcome of the whole job, which we refer to as one ecosystem. So by having an app that allows us to kind of monitor and measure what's going on site, we are able to create a better ecosystem for all parties involved. And at the end of the day, everybody is more profitable, more effective, more efficient. It's just a far better world if it's used properly, for sure.
All right. What about the TV show? That's kind of an interesting bonus, but
yeah.
Obviously you caught the attention of some interesting producers who see value in what it is you're doing.
Yeah, it's extremely cool. So we're meeting with the producers actually next week. They have had a teaser about the show and the show idea and what they want, and it's extremely exciting to be able to possibly bring this to the mass of what we're doing. But ultimately, what the show is all about is having this advisory. A business advisor get into kind of the back end of all of these contracting businesses that go on a custom home building site. So we follow the lives of the custom home builder and the sub trades of this builder, and there's going to be all kinds of drama and various things that are that's going really well on site, that are falling apart on site, and all of it as a result of how well the businesses are being run, the systematized way that the business is being run. So there's going to be a lot of interesting characters on the show, and I'm really excited to bring it to market. And at the end of the day, some of our clients, our home building clients, our contracting clients, have opportunities to possibly become TV stars too, which is going to be pretty cool. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that's another good incentive for them to start working with you, which, speaking of that, who's a right fit? Who should work with you? Who should get a hold of you right now to get a copy of your book and learn more about 4-Level Coach and Randy Stanbury and his team?
So I would say, our right fit client, first of all, they have to be highly ambitious, self-driven, and action-taking. If they are not that, probably not a right fit for us, because nothing's going to change in your business. It doesn't matter what we do or say. So you have to be highly ambitious, self-driven, and action-taking. Beyond that, you got to want more for your family, yourselves, your life, and your business itself. But the people that work for your business and the people around you. And if you want that, and you are a contractor, a home builder, you're in that circle of builders, including architects, designers. These are the people that we want to work with and that are right fit clients for us. That's not to say that any other business is not or does not fit into this world and our mold. But at the time of this interview right now, that's our focus and our right fits for sure.
Good. So where do people go to learn more about you, and what's an email address that they can use to reach out to you?
So our website, you can check us out at the number four, levelcoach.com. Email address is simple. It's info@fourlevelcoach.com. And phone number, you can reach us. You can reach me at 866-737-3322. 866-737-3322. And if you want a copy of the book, you can go on to Amazon. It's on Amazon, or you can email me at info and just request a book, info@fourlevelcoach, and be happy to get one out to you for sure.
Great. Well, Randy, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for the info. Great backstory. I'm really excited to hear more about the TV show, the app, the book, and the work that you're doing with home builders and trades. So, well, without further ado, this is Ask an Expert on Entrepreneur. Definitely make sure you leave a comment and share this on social or with anyone you know who might be interested in learning more about Randy and what he's doing with 4 Level Coach.
Cool. Thanks for having me, Mike. Appreciate it.
You got it.